What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new show called Pack Her Up, Boys. This week, we've got the great James Graham joining me, talking all things footy, but also just everything, talking about whatever we want to talk about. Now, make sure to follow the Buy Round on Instagram and also subscribe to the podcast, The Buy Round, on your podcasting app. Basically, James Graham sits down and talks with the biggest athletes in the country, and they're absolutely fantastic interviews. He's only started it recently, and people are like, they sit in the top 10 all the time. That's how good the podcast is. So subscribe to the podcast. It's a fantastic listen. I listen to it all the time. Plus on Instagram, you get all the snippets. Plus on TikTok, you get the snippets as well. But also, powered by Bloke Beer. Get in your local. I mean, set it up so on a Friday, you'll get home, you crack open a Bloke beer whilst we drink beer and enjoy talking about whatever comes to our mind. But let's get straight into the show, shall we?
Just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to a brand new show called Pack Her Up, Boys. A Friday show that drops around 3 o'clock each Friday. You know, you've knocked off work, the beers they are calling your name, and you sit down with myself, and this week it'll be the great James Graham joining me, and we'll be talking about a bit of sport, have a bit of punt maybe, but also all things bloke pop culture. So talk about cool, interesting facts, cool stories, everything really free-flowing. Like some episodes might be fully about sport. Some episodes, there'll always be some sport talk, but then some episodes, the back end, will be just talking about all things that blokes love. But Jimmy Graham, mate, how you going, bro?
Yeah, I'm going all right, mate, yeah. I did a very un-blokeish thing, actually.
Oh, no.
And I'm still paying the price for it. So
No.
on Tuesday, put the wrong petrol in the car, didn't I?
Oh, no.
Yeah. You know the worst thing about it? Everyone goes, oh, you must have been in like a mad rush.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I had loads of time.
Yeah.
Even the tank was on like a quarter full. I was like, oh, you know
so
what?
you
I'll
didn't
fill
even
it.
need to stop.
Didn't even need it. It was like 60, I think 63 Ks I had to go. Anyway, yeah, I got to my destination, just leaving. It was actually leaving the Bulldogs season launch, and juttering, and I'm like, what's going on here? It's the electronic. Oh, damn you, hybrid technology. You know, my granddad would be spinning his grave, all that sort of stuff. And no, I realised I'd
Well, there you go.
put the that's my granddad. The spirit of my granddad's come and knocked the beers down.
He's filthy. He can't believe it.
He would not. Well, I don't even know if an environmentalist was a thing back then, but obviously he's not happy. I've not even gone full electric.
It's like, I friend he was that filthy.
Yeah.
Oh, man, we'll leave it. I don't want to disrespect your grandfather at all anymore.
His spirit is here. The worst thing is, call out I'm like, this is a tomorrow problem. Uber back home.
Yep.
Tomorrow comes, organised by for the fuel rescue people.
Yeah.
They come. They couldn't do it because they were like, we can't because it's a hybrid. I was like, I told you on the phone. Anyway, so spoke to my mate at the dealership, Toyota. He goes, oh, just get a truck, drop it off. Did that yesterday. Anyway, he calls me this morning. I'm thinking, oh, sweet, that was a quick job.
Yeah, he's good at his job.
He goes, do you have your key, mate? I'm like, yeah, I do. He's like, we need it. I'm like, oh. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So the key has landed.
Uber driver to get it there?
Uber driver to get it there, yeah. I've had a fair bit of stuff on today. But yeah, very well, I don't know, is it an un-blokeish thing to do?
It's almost a blokey thing to do.
Yeah, maybe
to be
it
honest,
is.
to
Maybe
not be
it is.
thinking.
But you know what? You have these problems in life. I'm a solutions-based person. The problem kept getting worse, but I kept coming up with solutions. So
You're a solutions-based guy.
find a way. Find a way.
Oh, how good. Powered by Bloke Beer today. Pack Her Up, Boys is powered by Bloke Beer, guys. Head into your local in New South Wales ACT. We are stocked in Celebrations, Bottle-O, IGA Plus Liquor and Porter's Liquor, plus hundreds of other stores across Queensland. We've got a store located on our website. Head there. We're in Liquor Legends all across Queensland. We're in a lot of Celebration superstores. We're in every Celebration superstore in Queensland. Go to our website, store locator, grab a case of Bloke in a Bar. Perfect to listen to Pack Her Up, Boys on a Friday. Mate, speaking of, I guess, finding solutions, St. Helens.
Yeah, wow.
What's going on there, mate? Absolutely broke me little wee heart that she's come over here. Because, like, the thing is when we went to over in England, we could always just go, oh, yeah, but the boys are on the piss. So that's why we lost. The boys don't give a shit. Whereas to come over here and do a number on us, it was it was incredible.
Mate, it's one of the greatest rugby league success stories. Like, people giving them no chance.
No chance.
Like, absolutely no chance. And it's not like they're coming up against a team that, you know, just somehow managed to win the grand final. And it's like not much was expected. Like, this is an absolute champion Penrith team. They've gone back to back. Yeah, hey, we know they've lost some players. But St. Helens, give it to them. They did, and even the performance was enough. They deserved to win. They got the result. Like, and I thought Penrith actually, they did all right. They showed some champion traits in that ability to hang on in there. They didn't look like they were in the game, but they found a way to come back. And credit to both teams. This is something I've said before. Look at each team's 1 to 17. How many of those players were produced by that club? So you've got a dynasty here, Penrith back to back. 4 back-to-back championships with a couple of Challenge Cups and now a World Cup championship for St. Helens. The overwhelming majority of the 17 or 18, as it was, were produced by St. Helens and produced by Penrith as well. So it's an example out there for other sporting clubs and organisations. Is you know, if you want success, you develop your own.
Yeah, it's a really good point because, like, as you know better than anyone, there's a level that you can be an elite sportsman and you will go on a field and you will do your job. But if you want to achieve greatness, you have to have men buying into something bigger than just being a professional athlete. They have to be willing to sacrifice for a cause that is greater than themselves. And I think that that's something that if you bring them through the ranks, you can ingrain in them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I obviously a lot of former teammates of mine there at St. Helens and, you know, I caught up with them in the week, and you know, I thought, they seem like pretty focused and ready, and they were having a laugh and a joke and all that. But you know, there's something about the way they were talking. I was like, they're taking this. This means a lot to them, and that's another thing that you can focus on is like meaning. Yeah, like not to like completely put out Penrith's attitude towards the game, but perhaps they didn't have it on the same pedestal that St. Helens did. Yeah, and I think that probably showed. And you know, people go, oh yeah, but the weather, it played into the, you know, the English hands. It's like, well, hang on a minute. Those conditions, like, yeah, it rains a lot in England, but it doesn't rain like that, and it's not humid like that. Yeah, so those conditions probably are more familiar with the Penrith team. And let's not forget, you know, dollar for dollar on paper at what the squads are worth. Yeah, like what,
12 million and £2 million, £2.9 million
like,
pound.
You just well over double the amount spent on players from Penrith versus St. Helens, and in terms of like resources away from the field, like
not even comparable.
Like, just not even on the same planet, never mind the same league. Like the resources that St. Helens have, the number of staff, is nothing like what the NRL teams have. And I think credit to them, St. Helens came here with a job to do, and they did it. And even that, you look at that game, and people look at the Super League and the English competition and go, "Oh, it's, you know, that player is suited over there because he's attack minded. Yeah. He doesn't really give a shit about defence." The open exchanges, Matty Lee's on Moses Leota, like
crazy.
That set the tone. Like
Leota is the one that usually snapping blokes in the NRL.
Mate, he's a scary man, Moses Leota, and he hits hard. He's the only person that I've seen actually rattle Latrell Mitchell. True. Only person I've ever seen.
And that changed the game too. Because after that, Latrell was a bit rattled.
Yeah, the only person, and for someone to do that to him, it was like, and then they were in the face, they pushing the shove and set the tone, and then, you know, I thought the aggressive defence on an edge, and then the Jack Wellsby was like, he was magnificent in attack, but the try save on Cleary was something special.
100%. Yeah, it's really interesting because we don't like to. Like, people aren't going to like what I'm about to say because we always feel like teams from the past are way better than teams right now because of nostalgia, you know? You know.
Well, because you're young.
You're young and you're looking up to them and they're the great big things or whatever. But it is honestly like St. Helens coming over after Brisbane's back-to-back and beating the Broncos at Broncos Suncorp Stadium. And if someone said that happened, you'd be like, that's one of the greatest achievements ever.
Yeah.
Because we're in the current day, for example, Nathan Cleary, statistically, and again, people don't like to hear this, but he is on track with Joey Johns, the greats. So imagine a team coming over and beating a Joey Johns led. It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
And because we're in the moment, I'm not saying he is Joey, but statistically and everything like that, he's achieving similar things.
Yeah.
That's the feat that they did. Like, that's what they did.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we do honour the past, and we do remember our heroes, but I think some of that comes down to being young.
Yeah.
And, you know, when...
Well, you know what's funny is like, so it's a bit of a tangent, but so I'm going up to Nine to interview the NRL talent for the Nine network. They've got the NRL launch tomorrow. And so when I went to the Dolphins, like, it was fun, like, yeah, the boys, all good, rah, rah, because, like, they're the generation after me, whereas I'm going to Nine and I'm shit myself because I've got to talk to, like, Thurston, well, not Cam because I'm mates with him, all the big dogs, because they came before me.
Yeah, they come up on such a pedestal.
Yeah, so I've put them, like, up here and I'm like, oh, man, like, can I say the jokes I normally say? Am I going to, rah, rah? And you're right, it's like, and it's, what's the difference? They're the boys of, like, they're the same in regards to the boys in a squad.
It is funny how you have those memories, and like you say, like, people would be like, oh nah, Joey, Cleary wouldn't be able to lace his boots. Yeah, but like you say, if you look at the numbers and you look at his level of performance in the biggest arenas, like, mate, he's on track.
He's on track, and I mean,
and mate, what is he, like, 24, 25?
Yeah, 24, 25.
Like,
put it this way, there's no one...
Best years are to come.
I know, it's crazy.
And best years are to come.
Think of, like, the way I always look at the Penrith Panthers is like, imagine the Melbourne Storm, but with the Penrith Panthers nursery. Because the Penrith Panthers has the best nursery in the game. So, like, it's scary. Like, it's almost like, it's similar to Brisbane. That was why it was so shocking that Brisbane fell down so far, because they've got the biggest nursery ever to pull from, and they've got all the money in the world. And so it's a similar situation with Penrith. If Penrith drop the ball over the next 10 years and they stop making the 8, that's a massive disaster, because they've got all the ingredients to win comps now.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, people are going to come and pick the eyes out of their team, like we're seeing, you know, obviously Kikau gone, Coruscant gone, Crichton for next year. They've lost Matt Burton recently as well, but the production line of talent there is phenomenal, and you know, they should keep, you know, it's a model for sustained success is what they've built there.
Mate,
it really is.
Now, we saw the picture after the game of the great Jimmy Graham, the great jammer. Was that vodka orange or was that beer, first of all?
I'm almost insulted. You have to ask. Almost insulted.
Hey, I don't want to assume, mate. I don't want to assume.
It's good not to assume, but let's, you know.
Look like orange juice in the picture, I'm just saying.
Hey, the filters for Instagram, you know. Hey, it looked like it was going to be a nice day out there in Penrith, but the storm turned up. Yeah. It was, you know what it was. You know what it was.
But what was the moment like as a Pommy? Because I assume, I mean, I could be wrong, but I assume, actually, speaking of it, like, I was told recently that Pommy is offensive.
Well, I guess anything's offensive if you want it to be, isn't it?
Is it?
I don't care.
What does it even mean?
I don't know.
I just thought
I don't know. I don't know the
why you don't know why to be offended?
I don't know what it means. I know people say you're a Pom because you're from England. I was like, right, okay. Yeah, like, I'm not offended by that. I'm not offended of where I'm from. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll have to Google that. Should you be offended right now? Should I be offended? You should Google. Should I be offended?
Should I be offended? Well, in the current climate, I think anything can be offensive, can't it? But no, man, I was made up for them, and like the head coach now, you know, to give the viewers and listeners some backstory. Like, Paul Wellens, one of my best mates through football.
Okay.
And this is like his first year in charge. He had a trial game, testimonial game for one of the players, Mark Percival there, back in England. Comes over here with this, and also, like, first year in a job with a team that's won 4 in a row.
Pressure.
Like it's not exactly the sought after position that you want to take over a team in. Like it's difficult circumstances. He comes in, and there's an option to come over here to play in Australia. Well, it's like, well, hang on a minute. If we go over there and we get our asses handed to us, then we come back, and then
the pressure's on.
It hurts our chance of domestic success.
Yeah.
Like round 1 in Super League was the weekend just gone, so that means they're missing round 1, so they've got to catch that game up. So that's going to head them later down the track.
Wow.
But they can't. He knew. Come over. He backed himself. He backed his group. He backed the club. He backed the team. Like I was delighted for him, and he's worked really hard to get into the position he is. Like sometimes people get an easier path because they've played for that particular club for such a long time. He's worked his balls off to get where he is, and I was so happy for not just a former teammate but a mate. Like to see your mate do that, and
nice.
Like, hey, don't get me wrong, he's my mate, but he's changed.
Yeah.
Like he has changed so much. Like
Can't even
have a joke of him now. Like,
no.
like,
Head coach. He's gone head coach.
He's gone head coach.
Yeah.
I was on the phone to him last night.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, please, you've got, mate, if you don't run with this line, like, so the line being like, we used to joke around, like we had one particular former teammate after we won the comp in 06, like he come in after pre-season. He's like, lads, relax. We're the champions. Let them come to us." Right. So, but he said it in a very, very joking manner. So I was like, "Well, if you don't, you're doing a disservice to your former self. If you don't, when the boys get back into training on Wednesday or Thursday, if you don't take boys, relax. We're the World Club champions. Let the rest of the competition come to us." He's like, "Jam, I can tell you this. I will not be telling this group that."
You've changed.
You've changed. He's like, I know, I've changed. But no, in all seriousness, absolutely delighted for the man and friend that is Paul Wellens.
I saw like a little interview on Instagram of him, and what like really stood out for me was his intensity. He is intense in the interview. Like it was almost like he was about to run out.
Yeah.
Which I was like quite impressed by.
Well, mate, his whole life is revolved around his club. He's got many family members that have played for the club.
Okay.
He lives in the town of St Helens. So
Oh wow.
like he's lived there his whole life.
Yeah. Okay.
So that sense of meaning and just what this club means to him, and the fact that he's done such a long apprenticeship. He's been in England and Great Britain camps with Wayne Bennett, learnt from the best. Spent a lot of time under Christian Wolff, and he was, before Christian Wolff went in, and I know he was keen to take the job over from Justin Holbrook, who's now at the Titans, but he was patient. Now he's got his chance, and
Mate, that's such a good lesson for like this generation. You got to be patient. Like if you don't get something first go, just keep grinding away.
Yeah,
I think a lot of young, not a lot, even people my age as well. Like they miss out on something, or they don't get something they maybe expect or whatever, and then they just go, "Oh well, it's not for me." Then you're like, "Mate, just keep grinding.
Just
like
keep
it'll
going."
come.
Yeah. It's hard when you're in that moment to recognize the fact that like, hey, good things will come of this, or it's not the be all and end all. But perseverance sometimes is makes that success even sweeter.
Speaking of perseverance, Jimmy, you're the perfect person I want to ask this. So yesterday I was in the gym. I was going for a run. So I worked out earlier in the day, gone back to the gym. He even had me running shoes on. So like right now I've got, these are joggers, but they're not actual. I've got the actual joggers that apparently they nearly got made illegal in marathons because they make you a bit quicker.
Oh yes,
So
I've read about them. Yeah,
I'm in the bloody zone, mate. In the zone. I watched a documentary. I forgot what it's called, like Just Do It or something. Anyway, so I get in the gym and I roll up to my treadmill because it's just a quick run before I come back to shoot some content. And I wasn't like fully in the zone. I was feeling good, but I wasn't in the zone of like a competitive zone. I was more in like, just let's enjoy this run. Anyway, this dude, like there's all of these treadmills, like we're talking like friggin' 30 of them. He pulls up right beside me. He's kitted to the days. Pulls up right beside me, kitted up. Honestly, looks like he's out of a Nike ad. Anyway, so he gets on. I can see, I've just started, like I'm talking 10 seconds in. I can see him have a little peek like that. looked at like what level I was at. So what does he do? Puts it to that level, but 0.5 higher. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Is this where we want to go today, baby? Because you don't want to go here with me. Anyway, so I spent the next 20 minutes racing the bloke next to us. I broke him. He bounced out at 20 minutes. And then to make matters worse, I went for another 20 minutes while he was until he walked off from the gym, just to show him that I can go the same pace and break the bloke. And to be honest, it was one of the greatest wins of my life. If I'm being honest, broke him. He was yelling at himself, going, "Fuck, go on, don't be fucking soft." He was yelling at himself while running. And so what I was doing to get in his head, I was singing, so that he was like, "This guy's a fucking animal." Anyway, it was a battle for the ages. And I wanted to ask you, when you go to the gym, do you get in those, or even when you're running in public, do you get in those little quiet battles that they're there, but you can't really tell if you're not in it?
Look. In a not too dissimilar situation to yours, yes, but in the sauna.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you're like me being a fair skin guy, like I don't handle the heat that well. But like sometimes you go in and, you know, say there's a geezer sat there and he's got his phone out and he's got the stopwatch on, so I can see that how long he's been in for. And I strut in. And after I'm clock watching and I've only been in for 5 and this guy has obviously been in for a lot longer and I'm like, oh God, I want to get out now. Oh, but I can't. Like, oh, my system is overheating. I'm like,
you'll be so red too.
Right, I'll get out. I'll think of a time in my head.
Yeah.
And then I'm just zoned in on that. But I'm the guy that bounces in next to you thinking like big bollocks here, and then that can be quite embarrassing when you with like the hardcore intense sauna people.
Yeah.
And you've only got like a few minutes to survive. That's where I fall over. But
have you?
No, in the gym I don't really pay much attention to what anyone else is doing. I
like to get little wins.
I just go and stick to my program.
Okay. I like to get little wins here and there over people. They don't know they're getting. They don't know they lost, but I beat them.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
So actually, have you heard the story Tyson Fury? So he was fighting Klitschko, and Klitschko was like the heavyweight in boxing for 10 years.
Yeah, he was the man.
Unbeatable. And now there was an argument against him that like he was a bit boring, a bit technical, and he just used his reach to kind of beat everyone on points.
He was the king of the jab, wasn't he?
King of the jab. And he would just outpoint everyone. Anyway, so Tyson Fury basically was hounding this guy for a fight, hounding him, feeling like he was the one that could beat him. And so they happened to be at a same training center or something. Anyway, so Tyson Fury tells a story of they walked into the sauna together, and Fury said he did not leave the sauna for an hour or two because he refused to leave before Klitschko left.
That's brilliant.
And he reckons that they sat in there for ages, and he said Klitschko walked out first, and that's where he knew he could beat him. You can YouTube that too. You can YouTube that.
Oh, that is the mind of the fine line between insane
Psychotic.
and genius.
Yeah.
Like at that point, you know, nothing to do with his superior boxing skills, his height, his reach, his speed. But no, that was a great fight that I remember watching it with some mates back home, and actually on the day of that fight, I know like a little bit about boxing. I enjoy the spectacle of the sport, but Fury was going to pull it because they put too much sponge on the canvas.
Oh, to try and fatigue his calves.
Yeah, because they knew that Fury's movement.
Wow.
So the
Boxing's
German
a dodgy game.
I know. You know, so Fury goes on fight afternoon to like walk in the ring, and he's like, "Hang on, we agreed on like X amount of mils for the
and it
the
matters,
canvas."
man. It matters.
But unless you, of course it does.
Yeah.
But like he was like, you remove that layer of canvas or it's off.
No way.
Yeah, he was up until, and then they finally agreed it. And I think it was one of them. It's like, do you reckon he's being serious here?
Yeah.
But he was adamant, like, you get rid of that extra layer of canvas or it's off. But that's those little, you know, the term in footy is the 1%er, isn't it? Like the 1% that makes all the difference. But yeah, that you know, you can read about that as well. But I love that story of.
Well, like, especially in boxing, because if you are a millisecond to the left or to the right head movement, because you get knocked out.
Yeah.
It's like running onto a footy field and it being real thick grass.
Yeah.
You're going to cramp up.
Yeah, and it makes a difference. It all makes a difference. But I love that the sauna story. Just can you imagine the pain that you would have been in?
The big boys just staring at each other.
Yeah,
just like, not going to go, bro. I'll die.
just gone. Yeah. I wonder how long he waited.
I
think it like you follow him up, like, oh yes,
you got to stay him like
Vlad's in the shower and he's like comes out like, oh man,
I reckon he waited a little bit. Yeah.
Like because you probably can't rush out, can you?
Because then you've already you lost really. Because
if you rush out straight after him,
yeah.
I reckon you've almost got to like let him go, shower, change. Maybe as he's putting his shoe, time it right. So he's putting his
and you walk out.
He's putting his shoes on.
Starkers too. Just walk out nude. Just like, and then put your foot up on the like chair in front of him. And tell yourself.
Dear.
Mate, obviously the footy season, it's around the corner, mate. So we've got some odds here on like, premiership potential winners. Penny Panthers paying $4, Roosters $6.50, $7, Storm, Rabbitohs $10, North Queensland Cowboys 12, Sharkies 13, Para 14, Broncos 18, Manly 18. What are your thoughts on, first of all, disregard odds. Who do you think is your tip to win it? And then who do you think is value there?
Yeah, look, I think tip to win it is the Roosters. They have had some awful luck. And I use the word luck on purpose because I think sometimes that's what injuries are. Just the amount that they've had, they would have to have looked at knee injuries specifically and some stuff around that over the past few years.
Training,
it just keeps on happening, which sort of tends to suggest it's a bad luck thing. So, and then the addition of Brandon Smith and the talent that they have, I think if they keep fit, it'd be hard for anyone to go with them. I'm thinking that just looking at the makeup of their team, I think they're going to flood the middle.
Yeah, I think so too.
They're going to flood the middle, and I don't think anyone's got the capability to stop them. I think we'll see Manu spend some time like as a 2 fullback role, and maybe Joseph Sualihi as well. I think they could almost play a la New South Wales 2021 with Turbo and
Teddy were just
Teddy were just cruising through the middle, and then you throw Brandon Smith in the mix. Once they find that balance of whose run it is, who's push support, it's going to be, if they master that, it's going to be incredibly hard to stop. It's going to certainly give them an advantage for field position because they'll just generate quick rucks and 7 tackle restart sets, and then you put some shape. I reckon they'll alternate between the tactics of flood the middle and shape. Be interesting to see, but I just you look at their team on paper and their ability on grass it's the Roosters all the way.
I'd go as far to say as if they don't have that game plan, they will struggle to make the top 4 because I just think that they have too many good ball runners to kind of like, for example, you don't want Joe Manu just sitting down on the edge waiting for the ball, and they're playing set structure. And I also don't think like Cheese does it. He's good service, he's Dally M hooker for sure. But what is his asset? It's his running game. Like he's a great ball runner. Then Victor Radley, what's his asset? Good ball player, but I actually think that his ball running is underrated. Like really underrated. So I agree with you, mate. I think they're almost like to the Storm to a degree. So the Storm for the last couple of years haven't had a ball playing 13. And I think it's because they've gone that route as well, where they just kind of flood the middle and then rely on Hughes and Munster to play a bit off the cuff. Because when you look at Hughes and Munster, like they're not structured halves; they're off the cuff kind of halves, fullbacks pretty much.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think that their game plan will be flood the middle and just play at such a high tempo.
Get quick play the balls,
and then get in good ball and then hit shape.
Yeah. That's what I think we'll see from them.
And Sam Walker will suit that perfectly. Yeah, and Kiri,
and they've got plenty of people that can. The momentum in the game has never been more pivotal as far as I'm concerned, and especially with the 7 tackle restart rule coming into play. So you've got plenty of people there that can generate quick play the balls out of nothing, and then bang, we're on.
Yeah.
So sometimes, a lot of teams, they have that go-to guy as a quick play the ball guy, and then it's like, okay, he gets it, but then what?
Yeah.
So, but you can imagine the Roosters. Joey Manu comes in, Suali, he's bursting people now.
Yeah.
He's, we saw him do it for Samoa in the World Cup, where he burst through the line. He did it for Roosters last year.
Yeah.
Burst through the line, down, burst through the line, down, bang, quick play the ball. Right, we're off, lads. Boom, who's next? Well, you get that happening on play 1 or 2 or 3. From a defensive point of view, the rest of your set is ruined. You're just managing it at best,
hanging on
in there. The temptation to stay on 7 tackles. Well, good luck. So they're going to get field position won't be an issue for them. Just then what they do up there. I think it's a frightening proposition. The Roosters, if they're healthy all year.
So they're actually paying $6.50. Not bad odds.
Mate, you want to say where's the value at? I think the value's there.
Yeah, $6.50 is not bad for the Roosters, honestly. Like, I reckon value though, 2 value for me. Sharkies at $13, but the biggest value, as in like Smokey talk here. Manly $18, just because of the Tom Trbojevic factor. Because we just don't know.
Yeah, sometimes you forget, don't you? Like he missed last year, and we now when you think of Manly, you're thinking the rabble that they were towards the back end of last year with the off-field issues that they had. But if Seabold can bring that group together, you throw Tommy in the mix. And again, staying healthy is massive for him, like and Manly. But I can't disagree with what you're saying, mate. I think Manly,
$18,
and then again, you think back to who they were last year, the year before, top 4 side. And I don't think they reached their peak either that season either. They started awful. I think they were 0-3 to begin the year.
Yeah, they were terrible.
They had a mountain to climb.
And it was one of the worst starts to a season since, I think, 2002 Cowboys. That's how bad the start of the season was. Yeah,
so I think for them, that they'll know they've got enough evidence there to suggest that they can do something. It's about coming together, and the man at the back, if he's fit.
Yeah. It's interesting, like, as a Manly fan, I wonder, would you rather them, just have a solid year and Tommy gets through it? Or would you rather them, go to a grand final and Tommy, doesn't get through the, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder what the rather would be.
Yeah. Oh, mate, if they can make a grand final and make a dent into the 8, I reckon that's what they take, for sure.
We won't do wooden spoon it. We won't do wooden spoon bloody predictions. I always feel bad doing that shit. I always feel so bad.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you've been there, eh? Like, how hard teams work. And it's, look, I don't begrudge anyone that puts them out there. Like, sometimes, like, SEN might be like, mate, we need you to actually do it. And you go, all right, like, I'll do it. Like, it's fine. But if I can choose not to, I would love to not to. Because you know how hard everyone, like, doesn't matter what squad you're in NRL, you're toweling yourself up every day.
And at this stage as well, everybody is full of optimism.
Oh, I know.
Every single fan member, staff member at clubs, all the backroom staff, all the upstairs staff, and no doubt every player is full of optimism. And it's almost really a bit of an insult to suggest anyone should be favourites for the wooden spoon, because it's going to be circumstantial, and it's going to change as well. It's going to be determined by a little bit of luck. We look at injuries, suspension, all that jazz. And
I will say, and this is evidence of like optimism, and maybe it's rightly placed. There was a player in the Dolphins that wanted to bet me $1,000 they'd make the 8. I declined it, and I was like, "Wow, that's confident." And I was like, "Mate, but XXX reason," and he gave some pretty good explanations. But it's an example of like there really is like when you're in your bubble and you're just so optimistic and so. Not to say that they can't do that. Maybe they will. It'd be incredible if they did.
It would be
one of the great stories.
It would be.
Now, top point scorer. Cleary paying $3.75. Holmes playing $4.20. Trell Mitt playing $5.50. Ruben Garrett $8. Sam Walker $9.50. Nico Hines $12. Nick Meaney $15. Mitchell Moses $26. Reynolds $34. Matty Burton $34. I reckon I reckon Val Holmes is a bit of a not like value as in like Smokey. I actually think he's like not a safe bet, but I would probably bet Holmes will lead the points this year.
Nico Hines is quite far.
Yeah,
down
he's down
there,
at $12. $12. And he's like such a good ball runner. Can score tries.
Yeah.
So that's probably value, I reckon.
Yeah.
You could even say Nick Meaney because he's a goal kicker, isn't he? And he's going to play fullback for the first 8 rounds. Yeah. But he won't play fullback the whole year most likely because Pappenhausen will probably come back.
And then he won't kick.
And he won't kick as well, yeah. I reckon a safe bet for me would be Val Holmes, but I reckon value bet would probably be Nico Hines.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you.
Because he's got, well, first of all, he's was training with Dan Carter on the off season, so surely his kicking's going to get better from that. Unbelievable player. What was interesting is like I put a post up with Nico Hines with Dan Carter, and I was like, oh, this is incredible. And then like a few days later, Nathan Cleary put a post up with Dan Carter practicing, and I was like, oh, he almost like stole his thunder.
Is he marketing himself as kicking coach now?
I'm not sure. I think it was just like a
great position to have.
Kicking coach.
Kicking coach.
Oh, the dream. Because like
I think that's up there with travel journalist.
Oh yeah.
Travel journalist.
Would you ever go to like a war-torn country as like a travel journalist?
No, but look at like
wear a helmet and shit.
No.
See you on the news with a helmet.
No, that's not a travel journalist. That's a combat correspondent. That is not a travel journalist. There's a huge you know, you're picking up the paper, looking in the job section. Travel journalist, like, oh, go on, yeah, I'll apply for that one. And then next thing you're correspondent from some war-torn country. Not quite what it said on the tin.
Getting flown into Ukraine.
Yeah. Just like, where's the plane going? Oh, we don't know, mate. It's one of those it's a mystery holiday.
Yeah, mystery holiday. Yeah. Roll in. Oh, by the way, here's a bulletproof vest.
Yeah, no, that definitely not for me. No, thank you. But yeah, goal kicking coach or travel journalist. I reckon that's up there with some of the most sought after dream jobs.
Mate, or punter in the NFL. Imagine being a punter. Just.
Well, but I think there's a bit of pressure on there.
Yeah, true.
But with kicking,
no pressure,
mate. And really,
you just blame the player if he misses.
Like they're already good kickers.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, what do? Go in, just try and get it between the posts.
Just kick it straight,
bro. Wherever you are, just kick the ball between the posts, and then just keep going back for that lesson. Invoice the club every week. Thanks for coming.
Well, I remember I was kicking at the Warriors, and like it actually, because we didn't have I don't think we had a specific kicking coach, and I started kicking really well at the start. But then my kicking started to struggle because I had too many people like telling me like, you need to do this. So for example, Ivan Cleary, he used to be a really good kicker. So he was giving me advice, but then I had like the assistant coach who was like, well, you need to kick like this. And then actually I think, we did have a kicking coach and he was telling me to kick a certain way. Whereas like, because I played soccer or like growing up, I kind of felt like I didn't need like structure.
Yeah.
Because I just felt more natural being I just, aim at the post, kick it or whatever. And it ended up just doing me head in. Got to the point where I was literally...
I
didn't know what was right or wrong. Like I was like, oh, okay, I'll try that. Oh, okay, I'll try that. Like just trying to do the right thing. Went to Ivan Cleary and was like, I don't want to kick anymore, And he was like, wasn't happy because I think he wanted me to be, I guess, not give up or whatever. But like I was in a new country just trying to keep my spot on the wing. And I was like, I feel real guilty when I miss the kicks and it gets into my head and I don't play as well.
Yeah. You see the good kickers can let it go. Like it is as much as a mental game.
It really
is an actual like getting the job done game because, like you said, I've never thought of it like that. But could play in your mind.
Massively.
And then it affects what you're going to do next.
100%.
If you're not mentally strong enough to go like, okay, next job.
Yeah. And like I'm a very like I care a lot. Whereas how some players can like drop a ball and they literally don't even think about it.
Yeah.
I remember I dropped the ball, so I got concussed, but I didn't know I was concussed at the time. Dropped the ball off a scrum, and I honestly don't know if I had any other errors that so far that year. We're in like round, let's say 12 or whatever. So I prided myself because I'm a small winger. No errors.
Yeah.
Whereas like big wingers, you kind of go, oh fuck, all right. Like you're a big winger, you smash meters for us. It's all good.
Yeah, we'll take one.
I was literally crying after the game to Wayne Bennett because I was concussed as well, crying, apologising for the drop ball. And he was like, what? No, it's fine, mate, because we won the game and I scored 2 tries. But that's how much it meant to me, bro.
Yeah, well, that's it. And it's a fine line. What's the best attitude to have?
Exactly.
Like,
you don't want to get in your head and play poorly then.
And you don't want to not care.
Exactly. There's nothing. Actually, I want to get your thoughts on this. We spoke about it on my podcast on Monday. Blokes high-fiving after errors makes me furious. I get the thought process. It still makes me furious.
I think it's a generational thing.
Is it?
And let's be positive. Let's come on. Let's. I got your back.
Let's blow up. That's what I reckon. Let's fucking get into each other.
Yeah. Well, just run the tape of me spraying Mitch Brown after his little error. If I could have my time again, I don't know if I'd high five him. But yeah.
So if you were a captain of a team now, would you allow the high five because of the new generation, or would you go old school?
I think this is something that is pre-planned.
Yeah, talked about if there's an error, G each other up.
This is what we're going to do. Like we all. Yeah, there's a plan for adversity. So whatever the plan is, if we're all buying into it, that's the main thing. But I don't know if I'd be personally going up and leading it. I'd let someone else go.
It drives me insane, bro. It kills me.
Oh man, I think it resonates with a lot of punters out there and a lot of fans. It's like, what are you doing? But I think the understanding is it's like a pre-motivated thing to
stay positive.
Stay positive, and that's their way of showing it. And then also, like you say, mate, like you don't want that error getting in the head, and it gets in the head a little bit to the point where it's like, I've let these guys down, and they need to know that. Maybe there you go. You go to the person that's made the error and go, look, mate, we know you didn't mean to do that. We've got your back,
mate.
Maybe I would be the high five. Like, look, got your back, mate. Come on, let's go again. But,
we're good.
Yeah.
One set. What about the one set call? A winger call on one set to the forwards.
I always used to like one set, then what? Like what? No. What then? What?
We have a whole game after that
one set, and then they get a repeat set. Well, then it's not one set, is it?
To a winger, it is.
Like, yeah. What, one set, and then we're just done. We get the ball back on the halfway because you dropped it. No, it's not one set at all.
What's that?
Yeah. It's one of the great rugby league calls that the one set.
Oh, that's the best.
You should only say that in the 39th or the 79th minute.
Set.
That should be reserved for then.
Now, who have you got as Smokies this year, mate? Smokies for the season.
Yeah, everyone's looking to be the new Cowboys, aren't they?
Yeah,
or the Cowboys
or Sharkies.
Last year. Man, it's hard this because like I say, everyone's full of optimism.
Yeah, I know.
And not because of the closeness of the evenness of our competition. It's hard because there's probably 13 teams that, if they make the 8, you're not like, where did that come from?
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
All Broncos, Manly.
Yeah.
Although Raiders is obviously on the edge of the 8.
Yeah. But then if they make it,
Bulldogs,
you
Tigers.
Bulldogs, Tigers. Yeah. This is all. You've got all these teams that you're not. It's not going to be like this is a miracle.
Yeah, it's true. It really is. True.
Even there, you unnamed source that from the Dolphins.
Yeah, wants to make the 8.
Even the Titans, I think they might struggle this year. But again, 2 years ago, they were a pass away from going to week 2 of the finals, and you're like, okay. And then once when it happens, and then you reverse engineer it, you're like, of course,
so
of course,
true.
It all makes sense now. So Smokies is a tough one. I think. One team that I think will do all right is I think the Dolphins will
do better than expected.
Yeah, and what that expectation is publicly in the minute is down near the bottom and not competitive. But I think they'll turn up.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins will do better than expected. I don't think they'll make the 8. Titans are an interesting one because they got Kieran Foran and Sam Verrills. Like, that's big buys.
Yeah.
It hasn't been the front page buys or whatever, but we're talking about 2 players that have won grand finals.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the spine.
Yeah.
You know?
You're right. And then, again, if they make it, you go, oh, of course.
Of course, yeah.
And then if Fafita turns it on, Big Tino, like, AJ Brimson's an incredibly talented player. And, really, they make it and, it all makes sense.
The one thing I do hate is like when people are like, mate, I always knew they could make it.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you say that fucking 6 months ago?
Go back a little bit. Yeah.
Mate, I want to. So the next segment basically is interesting stories. I've got an interesting story for you, mate. So there was a man. He stayed anonymous, but in subsequent reports, he found a tunnel lurking behind the wall during a bit of a home renovation. The tunnel led to another one, and then another behind that. He had unwittingly located the entrance to a huge underground city called Derinkuyu. The subterranean warren had been abandoned for centuries and was eventually found to be 18 stories deep and capable of housing 20,000 residents. There were chapels, schools, even stables down there. According to archaeologists, Turkish Department of Culture, Derinkuyu was carved into the volcanic rock and became sort of a man-made ant colony. The expert believe it was created between the 7th and 8th century BCE by the Phrygians, an ancient Indo-European culture. It reached its peak in the Byzantine period, 395 CE to 1453 CE, and extended to include wells and water channels. While early uses for the underground complex were storage, it grew to the size it was for purposes of defense. Early Christians lived there, fleeing persecution from Roman and Muslim, used it to hide during the Arab-Byzantine wars between the 7th and 11th century.
First off, right, if I knock down a wall and see that there's a tunnel,
Ghost.
I'm done. That's where I stop.
100%.
That is where I stop. I'm not going into the tunnel to see that where that goes. I am just going, oh my God, there's a tunnel here.
Totally.
You are joking. What's this?
Why back up?
I don't know who I'd call.
Ghostbusters.
I don't know who I'd call, but I'm certainly not going down to investigate myself.
Oh my God.
It's one of them where it's like...
It's the start of a horror movie.
Or a disaster. Yeah. Horror movie, disaster. What I'm not thinking is I'm going to discover an ancient city. So I don't know if that's it's one of those examples where it's like, just because the right thing happened doesn't mean you should do it in the future. So if he goes to another house, another part of the world, same thing happens again. Don't get carried away.
Yeah.
Call for, I don't know,
fucking army or something.
The team that look after these sorts of things.
Look after holes that are found in basements.
But all those sorts of ancient cities, it's fascinating. I don't know if you've seen, I can't remember the name of the guy. He wrote Fingerprints of the Gods. He's got this thing
Graham
on
Hancock?
Yes.
The ancient civilizations on Netflix?
Yeah, I don't.
It's a bit pseudoscience-y,
Yeah,
but there are some interesting things to it.
It's very interesting theories that he portrays. And I don't know, like the past is...
It's interesting.
It is interesting. You look at like what these people managed to achieve without, machines and the technology around. But yeah, an underground city. It's got. I wonder why it was covered up.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, and also, how does? I think when we find out stuff like that, you're like, well, what else? Like, that's something we found.
What else is? Yeah, what else is out there?
Think about over, like. Okay, let's say if someone said, in 100 years, we'll have this. You'd be like, 100 years?
Yeah.
That's fucking ages away. Now think about 6,000 years. Imagine all the stuff that we never going to find. Like, I always wonder with history, like, how much, like, for example, me and you both see something. We write it down of, like, what happened. The stories could be completely different. And so, like, with history, I always wonder, like, how much is just wrong? Like, how much of it is just like, it just been some dude that told a yarn? I know that there's, like, with a lot of, like, the big history, that there's multiple people looking at evidence and all of that. So I'm not saying, like, all history is wrong. But, like, even just, like, little things, like tiny parts of it that, like if you're talking about Achilles or something with Troy, like, did he really get shot and he died from that? Or did he have a disease and that's why he died, but he accidentally got shot in the Achilles? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff
no,
like 100%,
100%. Like, and just how stories change and
100%
weave over the years.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to make this person. Also, history is written by the winners.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, like, there's another side to the story a lot that, gets forgotten about or just doesn't get retold, or the winners put their shine on it. They're not going to put the people that they've defeated or the enemy in any sort of glory. They're going to justify their dominance and their victory and talk themselves up or whatever it may be. But no, it all that historical stuff, it's something that I think you start to appreciate around about this age. I wish I'd have listened in history a little 100%. Bit more. And even like going to Rome, and they say, like, you do the walking tour and all the history around there, and they say like, the amount of archaeological discoveries that they have, it's like there's no way they could ever put an underground there, because every time they start to drill down, they find something. It's like, right.
Got to
stop. So, yeah.
I liked history growing up, but as I gotten older, I love it even more. Like, it's just so interesting. I have this like really bad trait of, if someone doesn't speak English, for example, I just for some reason don't think like, they think differently or whatever. Whereas like when I think of people 1,000 years ago, I think, man, they must have been dumb. But they actually weren't. They probably weren't even that much different capability-wise than us, arguably even smarter. But we just got the advantage of time of building on their ideas. Yeah,
and they had to use different skills because obviously they didn't have like education.
Yep.
A lot of running water, all that sort of stuff. But it's fascinating what they managed to achieve, and even the fact that they could how they read the seasons and they could read.
Oh man!
Imagine go out at night, look at the stars, and like, well, it all looks the same to me. Like, follow the North Star. It's like, which one's that? What do you mean, follow it?
Yeah,
it's in the sky.
Like, which star out of 1,000 of them?
The people that sailed the 7 seas. It's like, it's fascinating. Like,
mate,
how they navigated it, and even like how they used the sun and. The sun, like the ancient sundials and all that sort of stuff.
It's incredible.
But in terms of like some of the feats that they managed to achieve, I don't know if you've ever seen Easter Island. Like, that's fascinating. Like, how
I've seen obviously pictures of it, but not been there.
The pictures of it and like seen video footage of it. It's like, wow, what that happened?
And so, like, the good thing, like, when the more you do dive into history, the more you realize that we actually aren't that much smarter. We've just had more time to build on their ideas. Like, every idea is just an evolution of an idea before it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, every idea, what spaces me out is like, someone had the first idea, and every idea after that is related to that first. So the first person to like speak from being a monkey to a human, even though we're still monkeys, but you know what I'm saying? That first idea of communication birthed everything that exists right now.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
It is. And just even some of the advancements that we discovered, or human beings discovered throughout the way, like the ability to, I was reading about it in a book, like how we got to now, and some of like the most important things that happen that we kind of take for granted. Things like the development of reliable eyewear, like...
it's like,
which gave people the ability to read like that. You know what correlates? It's a correlation, but the invention of the newspaper.
Yeah,
because
spreading of information.
Spreading of the information. But a newspaper, like 300 years ago, before the invention of glasses, was almost redundant because most people need
the glasses to
read it.
Wow. It's some of these like crazy things that like blow your mind when you first like hear them. For example, in history, they reckon that Polynesians sailed to the South Americas.
Really?
And actually, I think there's some, can you Google this, Maddie? I think there's some heritage connection between like Aztec, I think maybe Aztecs and Mayans, but the Central American or South American people and the Polynesians. I think it's that direction as well. And there's a movie called Kentucky. And what he tries to do is it might be the 1980s or whatever, and he had a theory that I'm pretty sure the Polynesians went to South America before everyone else did, like pretty much like before anyone thought it was possible. So what he did was he remade a raft, and it's a movie, but it's a retelling of a true story. He remade a raft of everything exactly the way it would have been however many years ago. Then he himself sailed to see if he could actually do it from America to the Polynesian islands, and he did it. He literally landed there, and I'm pretty sure it proved his point that it was possible on a raft to get from the islands to America. They even found evidence of Vikings getting all the way over to America.
I'm basically just repeating what you said, but yeah, it says DNA reveals that Polynesians may have reached the shores of South America and then colonized other Pacific islands, taking sweet potatoes and indigenous companions with them, or their descendants may have returned to Polynesia carrying indigenous South American genetic heritage.
Right, how many years ago was that they may have discovered it, or like got there?
1200 AD.
1200 AD.
Wow. Well, even the fact that like people figured out that the world wasn't flat, and we weren't the center of the universe. Because on the face of it, we are.
Yeah, you look out and you go, it looks flat.
Yeah, and then like getting to the beach or any sort of body of water, you'd be like, what? No, I'm not going over there.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Fall off the edge. But they actually, can you imagine even being around in the times where it was illegal to have that thought? Also, illegal to, I'm talking more sort of ancient European culture and history there, where Christianity ruled.
Was it Galileo?
Yeah, I think
Didn't he get like not crucified, but like
it was a very dangerous idea to talk about the fact that but the proof they proved it through experiment with things like I'm paraphrasing and botching the job, but
I think it's like maybe the curvature of the horizon or something like that.
Something along those lines.
Okay,
like they used there's experiments that you can conduct in order to prove this theory right.
Yeah.
But at the time in that sort of where Christianity ruled, any sort of like, well, no, God is our creator. God is God put us here. We are the center of the universe. That is the heavens. Like, don't bring those ideas here. We're not living on some sphere. You're crazy.
It's like, imagine, first of all, like to be able to think up an experiment to test that theory. How blows my mind.
And going off almost going off like
vibe,
zero base, like nothing to base you up. And basically, it was a dictatorship as well.
Yeah,
like living in a dictatorship where this is true because we said it and our institution said it.
And it's just like to almost coming up with a theory purely via logic of things that just add up to this is the way this is, so therefore, do you know, like to put that all together? It's incredible. Incredible.
I'm going to prove it by this theory and this. Yeah, it's nuts.
Now, mate, pub debates. If beer was banned, what's your drink of choice? Bloke orange?
Nah, whiskey straight.
Whiskey straight?
Oh, that's a big day sister, that, isn't it? Jeez.
You'd be, yes.
Can I get what?
Mate, whatever you want. You can go waters.
Probably vodka soda.
Vodka soda, yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, and then whiskey.
Vodka soda for me because, like, you just don't feel like shit from all the sugar next day. I mean, you still feel like shit because of the alcohol. But what rattles me after drinking, if I drink like fizzy drinks or whatever, like when I'm out, it's the sugar that fucks me up.
Yeah. That taste in your mouth is just a different level, isn't it?
I can't believe, I look back when I was like 18 and that, drinking Smirnoff Double Blacks with the red cordial on it. I'm like, how?
Yeah, we used to do the WKDs. I don't know if they made it over here.
No, I don't think so. Or they might have.
Yeah, Iron Brew WKDs. Like there was one that was like in an orange bottle, one that was in a blue bottle, and
yeah, if beer was banned, I'd be going vodka lime and soda. Vodka lime and soda.
Fresh lime or cordial?
Fresh lime.
Fresh lime. Oh, okay.
Because cordial's cheating. Then you're basically having sugar.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair.
I'm going vodka, lime, and soda. It's weird. Like, I actually used to own a bar. It's so fucking weird. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know when you look back on things that you did and you're like, it's almost like you're remembering a different person?
Yeah.
Like, even some of my career, I'm like, that's not even me. Like, I mean, technically it's like not even me, because isn't it every 7 years your whole body like
something like
decomposes and fucking...
I think it's apart from your brain cells, isn't it?
Apart from your brain cells. Man, time is a strange fucking thing, eh?
It is.
Like, it spins me out.
Well, it's kind of like if we're going off, we've gone on a lot of tangents here, but if you like, say you've got the Titanic and over time you've like, redone it all, is it still the Titanic?
Yeah. If you've replaced most of the pieces.
If you replace everything, is it still a Titanic? Or any sports car or old car?
Yeah.
If you're replacing the engine,
and what's the line? Is it 80%?
Yeah,
50%? Far out. That is hard.
So was it even you?
Was it even me? 100%? Or like, does it even exist anymore?
But it was your conscious.
Yeah, consciousness. Maybe.
Oh, we're going Sam Harris level here, aren't we? Oh.
Now, the most important man skill to have, what is it?
Well, I reckon it's different for different people, but for me, I reckon it's the ability to put shit on people and take shit.
What do I reckon the most important man skill is? I mean, this is because it's got to be like specific to man. Because like I was going to say the ability to listen, but that's a person skill. Everyone should have a good. I agree with you. The ability that, you know what, the best man skill to have is to take the piss out of yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you can't do that, get out of here, bro.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
And be able to take it from other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then put it back. I think that's what blokes do. I remember seeing some stupid thing, but that's what blokes do really well, where it's like, you're a do this, that. And then they walk away. It's like, he's a good bloke, him.
Love him.
Yeah,
Legend.
Love him. But you never tell him.
Oh, no way. No. Worst bloke ever.
Yeah.
Like
when he comes back, it's like, where you been? Oh, yeah.
You're a cat.
So as soon as you go, he's a good bloke there. Yeah.
He's a fucking real knockabout bloke, that bloke. Mate, you just spent 30 minutes calling him a piece of shit.
He's got good banter, doesn't he?
Who do you reckon has better banter, Australia or England? Because like I feel like Aussies and England are the best in the world at banter. There's no one that comes. Maybe I'll say Great Britain, because like Ireland and Scotland as well.
Well, look, I know this is an Australian-based show, but in England you have to fight for it a little bit more.
Okay.
Because we don't have the beaches.
So there's more sitting around.
I reckon there's more. Okay. There's more of it. So more. We don't. England, especially in the north and some of those areas you spoke about, I think you've got to have that witty sense of humour.
Yeah,
because we don't have
alive.
Yeah, we get and also we don't have the finer things in life like they do out here in Australia.
You know who has terrible banter? I'm just gonna say it. Americans. They don't know how to take the piss out of each other, and it's just like when they talk to each other, like it's all just pumping each other up. And I'm just like, oi.
Very, very similar cultures, but so far away at the same time.
So far away. Like I'm trying to, like, obviously Americans do take the piss out of each other, but I almost feel like if you're an Aussie bloke or a Pommy bloke or Irish or whatever, it's almost like you have to be able to banter with people, otherwise you're going to be almost a loner.
Lost. Yeah.
Whereas Americans, like, they'll be like offended or something. You know what I mean?
Well, do you not like me?
Yeah. Do you not like me?
It's like that insecurity of like, is it? Yeah. I know what you're saying.
I think it's, you know where I think it like really does come out in like the difference in our cultures is, and it's a negative as well. So double-edged sword, like the tall poppy syndrome, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. But if you watch the NFL, like they'll do something, the tiniest thing, and they will celebrate like it is crazy. Whereas Australian culture, it's changing a little bit. But like, for example, when I was making my debut or the first couple of years, when I scored a try, the senior boys said, you put your fucking head down and you walk back to halfway. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a very Australian thing to do. Whereas in the NFL, you almost, the more you celebrate, the more, in America, the more you celebrate, the more you are celebrated kind of thing.
Yeah. Make a tackle and
jump around and doing these ones, beating your chest and that.
Made a tackle.
Could you imagine if you did that in rugby league? Mate,
Let's
like,
hope it doesn't go there.
could you imagine, like, you make a tackle and as you're running back to, like, the 10, you go on these ones?
Yeah. Or like you jump up and like chest bump each other. Of course, you got a seven tackle restart. Tackled someone in the goal. You're like, whoa. No, let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Who is the goat of goat sportsmen?
Goat of goats.
Goat of all goats.
That's a great question.
It's a tough one.
Like, how do you
measure it? Like, is it athleticism?
Right.
Is it what they did, the dominance?
I know how to answer this question.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with Lionel Messi.
I was leaning towards that direction as well. But I'd go Maradona. But
Okay.
because, like, I'm getting what you're thinking. You're thinking because it's the biggest game in the world and he's
Biggest
number
game in
one.
the world, and also sheer participation numbers. So the level of competition that he faced throughout his whole lifetime
Was crazy.
was crazy. So his ability to be the best soccer player arguably ever in a time when more and more people were playing it, I think that's why he would supersede anybody else.
Yeah, it's. I mean, look, I wouldn't argue against it. Athletically, it's hard to go past people like, you know, LeBron or Michael Jordan. But then you look at, like, dominance, Tom Brady. You look at, like, boxing and the cultural impact of Muhammad Ali. You look at the ferocity of a Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? It's tough. It's tough. Oh.
Yeah, I think it depends, like what you view as athletic as well, because you get these, obviously, I think you get some people that'd be gifted at, like, they've got that athletic body. Like, you look at a guy like Deontay Wilder, like he's probably, there's a multitude of sports that if he'd have put his mind to it, he likely would have gone on to make it. And you can say the same for, like, you know, a guy like LeBron, like he looks like he could play NFL. Like,
Surely.
I think, you know, if he'd have concentrated on that, you know, perhaps he would have. But I think with Messi, it's the skill. Like the skill and the dedication to that craft and that ability. I think that's why. And just because he's been so good for so long in the most competitive, most participated sport, and that's why I put him at number one.
Yeah, wouldn't argue against it. Mate, that is us done and dusted. The first episode of Packer Up Boys. I hope you enjoyed it. I actually really enjoyed it. The seats are more comfortable than over there. You can just fucking lay back and you get to talk about anything.
Great chat, mate. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for coming on.
Pleasure.
Boom.